So a new patient that I had, 20-something Hispanic female, chief complaint, anxiety, depression, wanting to get that under control. So she came in and stated how she goes through these highs and lows. She states how, she's never sought help before. But as a child was, put through the ringer with her relationships with her parents, was sexually assaulted from age 9 to 15 and never spoke to anyone about it before. Mother blamed her for it. It was just very sad. And she came in because she's having trouble with her relationship. So she didn't disclose that right away. Sorry. She's talking about how her relationships were terrible. Like she doesn't know how to, every time gets, they try to work it out. She gets angry with him. Just, it's been pretty toxic. I asked, background. And she goes into, how she was growing up, what she went through. But she's living in the house that she was assaulted in right now. It's just a lot. So when Dr. Dabney was saying, well, we are thinking like this, getting all like a lot of drama, I already knew, or at least my inkling is, okay, yes, there's a mood disorder, but there's a big an issue with the closeness and, just all of that. Because my thought, and I doesn't know what a healthy relationship could be. She doesn't trust her parents or her mom, didn't feel safe there. So now she doesn't know how to feel safe with her significant other. They have 3 kids. It's just.
Well, if you can imagine, so when you've had your boundaries invaded against your will, just sometimes someone touches you or hit you, think of how disturbing that is. So if you imagine this type of boundary violation in a child who haven't developed their defenses and their capacities yet, it's so disruptive. They almost, they always, I can't say always, but my experience, I always have personality disorder there. So they just haven't dealt with it or processed all that. So yeah, it's a good chance.
And I was, she said that she's never talked about it, but so she came in and I just let her go. So when someone comes in for the first time, I think Dr. Dabney always says too, it's just, there's value in listening and letting them get it out. So she was all over the place, but not in I could follow her in a sense, not a psychotic sense where I couldn't even follow, but I could follow where she was going. And she just is in a place right now where she knows that she's got to work on herself because she feels like her children she has 3 kids, and she feels like they're being affected now by her mood and her feelings. She's very paranoid about her daughter spending time with their grandfather, not because the grandfather did anything wrong, but because of what she went through. And she's like, how is that? She's like, that's not okay. I always think that every man is going to hurt my daughter. The one who abused her was actually like a family friend.
Okay.
So she doesn't like men being around her kid. It's just, she's like, but I always make it known, and I don't want to be that like she uses paranoid, but guarded, because she knows that it's not these people, it's all the stuff that she's gone through. So she had that insight to know, like, I know that there's more to this, and I do need to probably talk about it, and even though I don't want to, but I did say, like, we don't need to go into details.
So there's 2 schools of thought in the field. One is that you have to process it, the details, in order to get through it. And the other school of thought says, no, you can develop healthy defenses around that and don't have to reveal it. My experience is you can help somebody improve without having to go into the details of that. Some people want to, and that's fine. I've had patients, one in particular I'm thinking of now, who said, I do not want to go into that. And I was like, fine, so we worked around it. And I even put the words on it. I said it was a sexual abuse. And that was the end of the conversation. I was like, 2 sentences, and that's fine. He ended up doing great. So kind of try to follow their lead.
So I saw her again this Thursday. So she came back for a second session. So, and we're just kind of doing some baby steps on, just I ask her, how have things been going? Sometimes she gets very mad at her significant other. And but I don't tell him because he should just already know. So then I'll have to stop her and be like, well, what kept you from telling him first? And then it was like, well, he should know. I'll tell him like, he's not doing this right, or he's yelling too much. I said, okay. I said, is that how you started? She's like, usually I feel like a broken record. We've been together for 10 years. I said, one way that we do it, one tool that we like to give our clients is using I feel X when you do Y statements. So I explained that to her and she said, well, she's like, I feel like I've tried that. She goes, I guess I could try it again. Because she's like, I feel like I've done everything with him. And, but the reason why she came though is because he finally said to her, I've done a lot of the things you said you needed from me. And he used the word need. And she goes, but you don't see it as enough. And then that's when she reflected on herself, thinking like, no, I think he has done a lot of changing, but I haven't. I think it's a lot that she just also has so much, that she's kind of getting off her chest right now.
So part of our job is to give them the tools to help their lives be better, relationships. Our other job is to help people understand. So why do you think she's not? First of all, what's she doing when she's saying you don't do this and you don't do that? So she's criticizing. Why do you think she's criticizing as opposed to saying I'm angry, annoyed, frustrated that you do this?
Oh, she's scared of it. She doesn't like her anger.
Right.
She's got the conflict over anger.
Right. So how could you put that together for her so she could see that?
I wonder if you didn't tell him you were angry because guilt over it?
There's some kind of conflict with it.
Conflict over.
Yeah, she hasn't named the guilt, but you don't want to name it for her.
Okay, got it.
Or I wonder if you criticize as a way to hide
The anger.
That's what we call interpretation, where you're putting two things together. You're saying it in a way, we want to say it in a way that we're not saying this is what you're doing. Use a wonder, maybe, could it be, suggesting. That way there's our understanding what they're doing. Because we can give them the tool, that's great. But we don't know why we're giving the tool, why they haven't thought of that themselves or picked up on that before. It's that understanding of themselves that's so valuable. She probably never had from anybody else.